Cool. Thank you, Christian. So I'm Pierre Sang from the agency, French Agency of Biodiversity. And I'm going to present you very quickly another ongoing European program, which is the Interreg SUDOANG, that started in 2018 and should end in June 2021. It involves all the people listed here, but also many other organizations which have notably provided data and expressed their needs in terms of eel management. In this graph, you can see the recruitment index produced by the International Council for the Exploration of the Sea working group. And the first warning signs about the decline of European eel were given in the early 80s. In 1998, the European working groups declared that European eel was outside safe biological limits. And almost 10 years later, in 2007, the European Commission produced a regulation requiring member states to develop a management plan for the recovery of eel stocks. The objective of this management plan is to achieve an escapement rate of silver eels at least equal to 40% of the pristine biomass. That means the biomass without any anthropogenic impact. However, as you see, 10 years after the implementation of the plan, the stock remains in a critical state. In the last years, the ICES also pointed out low escapement estimates, especially in southwestern Europe. You can see on the left side of the slide the current estimated escapement in green and the expected 40% pristine escapement in red. There is also a disparity between countries in population estimation methods, which may limit the value of these estimates and their intercomparison. For the specific case of Spain here, on the right side of the slide, the 5 different methods were used to perform the population estimate corresponding to the 5 different colors on the slide. So the SUDOANG program was born following these observations, and in order to better estimate the stocks and reduce the pressures on the eel population, the aim was to provide tools and joint methods that support the conservation of European eel and its habitats to managers in the SUDOANG area. So 10 main scientific partners from France, Spain, and Portugal are involved in the project, but Interreg also attaches great importance to the beneficiaries of the products being part of the project, which is why the project also includes 30 associated partners, such as national and regional managers, NGOs, fishermen's associations, and scientific entities. The SUDOANG project has 3 main objectives, to which the different work packages listed here contribute. These objectives are provide stakeholders with common tools for the assessment and management of eels and their habitats, develop a data collection strategy for monitoring eel population in a long-term and coordinated way, and strengthen the cooperation of pseudo stakeholders involved in the governance of eel and its habitat. So I'm going to present you some examples of the actions carried out by SUDOANG, and the first example is the implementation of networks and methods to complete or homogenize the knowledge about eel stocks and biology. And for example, SUDOANG has created a sampling network and 10 watersheds, including 7 rivers and the Atlantic Ocean, and 2 Mediterranean rivers here, and 1 Mediterranean lagoon. Also, in order for everybody to use the same sampling protocols, courses have been organized and sampling protocols have been formalized. And you can download, if you want, these protocols on the SUDOANG website. Otherwise, such networks and methods allow to provide homogeneous data to implement the models that I will show you on the next slide. The second example concerns the estimation of recruitment. For this purpose, the GRM model, which has already been used in France and at the European scale, has been improved. And it uses local data observed in river basins. And this model hypothesized the existence of large regions in which recruitment is quite homogeneous. And thanks to the involvement of stakeholders, SUDOANG allowed the definition of 5 areas in which this recruitment is considered homogeneous, allowed to share and to bank existing data, and also to estimate the minimum and maximum exploitation rates in the basin, especially to feed the confidence intervals of the models. You can see on the right side of the slide an example of a preliminary result corresponding to the recruitment index over the whole pseudo area. The third example concerns the estimation of hill densities in the entire river system concerned. And the EDA model already used in France has also been improved. This model is partly based on observed density from electrofishing sampling. And this database existing in France has been set up for Spain and Portugal. These data are then crossed with spatialized data concerning the hydrographic networks, for example, topography or hydrology, and their characteristics, for example, altitude or distance from the sea, cross-sectional obstacles, height of the obstacles, and so on. So the model crosses all these informations and provides an estimate of hill densities through the entire river system. And it can provide also this estimate by fish classes, fish size classes, which you can see in the right image of the slide. The fourth example is the estimation of the proportion of silver hills, which is necessary to produce an estimate of the escapement. And so a silvering model was developed by SUDOANG, and as before, by the coupling of existing biological data, such as the silvering stage, with data related to the positioning on the watershed, for example, allows to evaluate the proportion of silver hills at each location of the watershed. Here is an example of prediction from the model, which also allows to estimate if we are dealing with female silver hills. The left graph shows the proportion of females or males, and the graph on the right shows the proportion of silver hills for both sexes. Example number 5 concerns the estimation of hill mortality at hydroelectric power plants. By crossing the location of the obstacle with hydrographic data, biological knowledge on the species and the characteristics of the power plants, it's possible to estimate a mortality rate for hill. And if we also know the density of fish upstream of the obstacle, for example, using the EDA model I presented before, we can estimate an absolute mortality or an escape rate. A great work of data collecting is being carried out in particular for Spain and Portugal, for which the input data are not very well known currently. And the last example concerns the international coordination of eel management. As you know, the European eel constitutes a single stock, but it is managed at the national and regional levels as if it were isolated populations. That leads to great disparities in the management measures adopted. And for example, the different colors on the slide, on the right side, represent management units that are more or less independent from each other. These various levels of management, of regulation, and the multiplicity of stakeholders result in a very complicated and non-optimized management. And the work packages 7 and 8 aim to improve the cooperation between the actors involved in the governance of eels, and a governance platform will be created from SUDOANG actions. So there is still a lot to be done in the project before summer. What I showed you are preliminary results that are currently being reviewed by the project partners. And we also have to compare the GRM models with the EDA outputs to stabilize the hydropower plant mortality model and to transfer the results to a web application. I hope you will see the little video here. I don't know. Yes, I hope so. So here you can see an example of what the web.
No, it's coming.
Yeah, okay. It's an example of what the web application will look like. So it will be possible to choose the type of results. Here, the recruitment, for example, the geographical scale at which you want to display the results, the year you want to display, to click on the map to select the geographical area and display the results, and to choose if you want to see an absolute or relative scale, for example, and also to choose the type of graph and so on. Okay. So finally, you can note that the deliverables can be downloaded from the website indicated here at the top of the slide. In orange, you will find the deliverables which are available, and in gray, those which are planned but not available yet. And you can also follow the action of SUDOANG on YouTube and Twitter, with the hashtag SUDOANG. And I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Thanks.